Your documents are loaded and ready to print. And with the push of a button, you may just have given up your identity. Business copiers, fax machines, and even scanners store a digital image in the hard drive each time you copy. Associate Professor Zixuan Li at the Northwestern Department for Internet and Security Technology said that this type of internal memory saves the information so it can process quicker, but at a cost.
Because it saves there, it might have a thread, which means if the attacker can deassemble the device and potentially can get some info out of that.
Commonly scanned documents, such as tax forms and medical records, contain sensitive information like your social security number and address. If an attacker can get their hands on this information, they can use it to get credit cards or access your bank account.
For example, some PDF file, you fill up something for some travel agency may have your credit card information, then they can get from there.
With warehouses full of used copy machines and offices that scan thousands of documents on a daily basis, access to this kind of information is almost unlimited. In a CBS News investigation, after reporters and a computer specialist scanned the hard drives of 4 used digital copiers purchased from a New Jersey warehouse, they found 300 images of medical records and $40,000 in copy checks, amongst other private material.
It's inevitable sometimes, especially in my business. I mean, you'd be surprised how much personal information gets transferred back and forth.
But what kind of person would go through the trouble to get into a copier hard drive? Lee distinguishes identity theft hackers into 2 categories: remote hackers, who might use a malicious link to gain access to your computer, and target hackers, who use physical means.
If they try to attacking your copier or fax machine something, they usually is a target attack. They usually know who you are and what information you might have.
Oikomitis, who is an identity theft attorney, says that target hackers are not your typical criminal.
Usually the defendant that comes into court, you may be a college graduate, you may be going to college, it's a different kind of mentality.
Oikomitis said that hard drive hacking is most common amongst employees at businesses and corporations.
Those are the folks who have the most access, the most opportunity to find information and also cover it up afterwards.
A hacker might not even cover his tracks, given that the Federal Trade Commission estimates that over half of all identity theft victims don't know how their identity was stolen. It's not easy to track down who stole your identity or find out how they got your information. And while identity theft may start at the photocopy tray, it could end at the World Wide Web.
Always had a Facebook since high school, and I noticed some unusual activity.
From fake status updates on Facebook to false emails, Rios knew something was up.
It seems like somebody was going onto their network and getting onto my account from afar.
And when Rios noticed unauthorized activity on his Verizon phone bill, it was time to call the police. Now one of the many thousands of victims of identity theft, Rios says he's learned a lesson.
No matter how much you try to present yourself out there into the world, it can really backfire if the wrong person gets their hands on it.
Like Rios, identity theft can happen to anyone, whether it starts with a copy machine or on Facebook. And the number of people affected continues to rise. A report released in 2007 by the Federal Trade Commission on identity theft in Illinois showed that credit card fraud was the #1 type of identity theft, with more than 2,000 victims. Phone or utilities fraud and employment-related fraud affected more than 1,500 individuals. Altogether, these 3 identity thefts made up more than 50% of reported identity theft in 2007.
Ultimately, if somebody's going to commit a crime online, it's usually going to be somebody else's identity.
So the question is, are there ways to keep your identity safe?
For many machines, it might have a functionality like can restore to the default setting of the factory setted.
System Restore wipes the memory for most machines, like Xerox copiers, which use disk override technology. Firewalls and network security tools also provide protection from hackers. Companies like Canon, Toshiba, and HP say they offer security or encryption packages in their devices. But while your school or office machine may be secure, how concerned should you be when it comes to using a public printer?
So those are the ones where people may copy their tax returns, personal copies of it could be probably of a sensitive nature at times. Those copiers are not networked.
In addition to public copiers, personal copiers that print less than 20 copies a minute pose no threat. But low threat shouldn't lower your concern. Whenever you copy, scan, or fax, knowing how to protect yourself is essential to keeping your identity secure.
So once you be more cautious toward those issues, usually at least 50% of chance you can protect yourself.
And as technology becomes more and more sophisticated, so will hackers' techniques. For now, being aware and exercising caution may protect your identity in the future. I'm Brandon Samuels with 322 News.